Everyone, today we are going to discuss about an interesting topic of biology, that is the human reproductive system. Fine. So before going to the topic, let us discuss about what is reproduction. Okay. So can anyone guess? It's quite a simple answer. An organism producing its own kind of offspring is called as reproduction, and it is done by mainly two methods, that is sexual and another one is asexual. Got it? So in simple words, here reproduction means an organism is producing same kind of its organism, another organism. Okay. So just for example, in case of human beings, they reproduce a baby which becomes in turn a human. Got it or not? So here another question arises: why organisms reproduce, or why reproduction is needed in every case of an organism? Got it? So the answer is very interesting. I will explain it now. So every organism need its existence on the earth. Fine. To exist on the earth after life, it need to generate another organism or reproduce another organism by which it can continue its generation, next generation. Fine. Just I will give you an example. Like when the first cell was introduced into the earth or on the earth. Fine. If it wouldn't have produced another cell of its same kind, then it would have been extincted. Got it? Or the life on the earth could not have been happened if the cell would fail to reproduce. Got it? Just like that. For this sake, and also there is another example I can give you for your convenience. Okay. In case of multicellular organism, in case of single cellular organism, everyone need to reproduce to continue its life form further. Got it? Okay. So now we will discuss about the types of reproduction. Okay. As before I told you about the definition of the reproduction, it contains two methods, that is the asexual and sexual reproduction. So according to that, there are two types of reproduction, that is the asexual reproduction and second one is sexual reproduction. Fine. We will discuss these two topics elaborately right now. Fine. So first comes the asexual reproduction. Got it? Okay. In case of asexual reproduction, it occurs mainly in the primitive type of organism. Such organisms are basically single cellular organisms. There are also several multicellular organisms which are very low in, or the lower multicellular organisms can also perform this asexual type of reproduction. Got it? Fine. What happens in here? In case of asexual reproduction, a single parent cell produces two identical daughter cells by dividing that single cell. Got it or not? Fine. So just for the example, or just for this topic, here what happens? The two daughter cells are basically similar in structure and function also with the parent cell. Fine. So I will give some example for elaboration of this topic. Okay. Here what happens? The bacteria performs fission method in which a single cell produces two daughter cell of the bacteria cell. Fine. In some other cases, like the hydra, it performs fragmentation in which its body, if its body divided into two halves, three halves, or some much more halves, from those segments, a new organism gets how much that fragments would be. From that part, the new organism or the new hydra gets arise. Fine. So let me give you another example of the type of or another example of type of asexual reproduction, that is the budding. In case of some fungi like yeast, these produce a bud-like structure on their body from which another organism oozes out. Got it? Or here what happens? A bud get oozes from the main parent body and grows there until which it gets matured. After being matured, the bud simply cuts down and gets detached from the body of the parent and live separately. Fine. So these are some kinds of asexual reproduction in case of the simpler lower animals. In case of higher animal, how this occurs or how this occurs in the higher multicellular organism. Okay. Now we will discuss about what happens in case of the multicellular plant organisms. So in case of multicellular plant organisms, there occurs a special type of asexual reproduction that is mainly called as vegetation. Okay. So in case of plants, their plant parts like the stem, the branches, the leaves and the fruits, these are taken out of the specific plant and then poured into the feed, from which the main plant or the parent plant again grows out of that plant part. Fine. This is how the asexual reproduction occurs in case of the starting from the lower animal to the higher animals. Fine. So now let's discuss about the sexual reproduction of organisms. Okay. Fine. So now we will discuss about the next type of reproduction, that is the sexual reproduction. In this case, what happens? The sex cells, that is the male sex cell and the female sex cell, fuses together to form a zygote, from which a new adult is formed. Fine. So the fusion of male gamete and female gamete, or the male sex cell and the female sex cell, is called as the fertilization. By the fertilization, they form a single cell which is called as zygote. The zygote next give rise to the fetus. The fetus then develops into the baby, and the baby, after being born, next develop into a human adult. So just like that in this case, the sexual reproduction occurs, or in this way the sexual reproduction occurs. Fine. So basic example are the like the humans, the other organisms like the cow, the lion, everything. Every organism, every higher vertebrate organism do sexual reproduction. Just not in case of animals, but plants also do sexual reproduction. Fine. So now we will discuss about the human reproductive system. So first let me tell you what is a reproductive system. Okay. So the organs that constitute the reproductive section of an organism are mainly called as the reproductive system. So let's come to the point about the human reproductive system. Okay, so human reproductive system mainly consists of two types of organism, two types of organ. They are like this. The first one is the primary sexual organ. The second one is the secondary sexual organ. Fine. So we will discuss these two elaborately now. The first one is the primary sexual organs. In case of humans, that present gonads that produce the sex cells in each human. Fine. In case of male, there present testis, which is known as the male gonad. These produce the male sex cells that are known as the sperms, and the second one is in case of females, there present the ovaries that are the female gonads, which produce eggs, that is the female sexual cells. Got it? It's just like that. So this is how, or these organs mainly produce the sex cells that take part in the process of reproduction directly. Okay. So now let's discuss about the second point, that is the secondary sexual organs. Okay. There are certain glands and certain organs, certain ducts that work in this place or work in the section of reproduction, but they don't produce any sex cells. So these organs constitute the secondary sexual organs. Got it? So basically, in case of humans, at the time of puberty, they show some bodily differentiated in case of every little child. Fine. Or you can easily say, after the puberty, there are certain bodily changes occur in case of every child that are mainly known as the secondary sexual characters. These secondary sexual characters initiate certain bodily differences in the body of different childs, such as growing beard, pubic hair, voice change in case of males, breast growth, pelvic girdle growth in case of females. So basically these are the secondary sexual characters that are seen in case of the child. Fine. So mainly these characteristics differentiate a male child from a female child. This also increase the size and different characteristics of sex organs of a human child. Got it? Now we will discuss about the male and female reproductive system in elaborate way. Fine. So first let's discuss about the male reproductive system. Okay. It consists of, or the male reproductive system consists of certain organs just like this. The first one comes the testis. The second one comes the sperm duct, or which is known as the vas deferens. The third one is called the accessory gland. The fourth one is called the penis, and the fifth one is called urethra. That's all. In this here, these are the main parts of a male reproductive system. Now we will discuss about each of these sections separately. Fine. So let's discuss about the first point, that is the testis. Okay. Fine. As we discussed before, the testes are the male gonads. Fine. So mainly these are located in the scrotum, that is a thin walled sac-like structure suspended from the abdomen of the males. Got it? So here it is, its location. Now in case of or how it is origin in case of a male. Okay. In case of embryonic stage, there what happens, these testes are mainly inside the body of the embryo. Just before the birth of that baby, these testes suspend down into this scrotum or sac-like structure. Fine. So if these the testes do not get suspended into this sac-like structure, then it leads to sterility in case of that human child. Got it? So in this case, what does the scrotum do, or how it helps the sperm to grow? Okay, let's discuss the scrotum. Indistinctly, we see the scrotum provides a proper environment in which the sperm can grow and become mature. Fine. So firstly, we know the sperm need little less temperature from the body temperature to grow and mature. As the scrotum hangs down from the abdomen, it provides lesser temperature to the sperm to grow. Fine. So this is how it helps the sperm and provides a proper environment to grow. Fine. So now let's discuss the structure of testis. Okay. So the testis is covered by a capsule-like structure or covering, which is internally divided or internally fragmented into 20 loops, 20 to 15 to 20 loops. Got it? Here these segments are mainly called as lobules. So each lobule again contains the following structure. So the first one is the seminiferous tubules. These tubules give birth to the sperms or spermatids. Fine. The second structure is the interstitial cells, or this is a kind of tissue that is present in between the coils of seminiferous tubules. Right? So basically these tubules or these cells are also known as the Leydig cells. Mainly these produce the testosterone. That's a male hormone inside the testis.